In this video, we're going to look at a rent versus buy scenario. Basically, what brings the most money at the end of the lifetime? Most people basically like to leave their inheritance in their house, and they just feel this is a great thing to leave off to their kids. Nothing wrong with that, but basically we're going to look at today, should you have just rented this whole time? So in the scenario I've made up today, we're a 29-year-old, we're going to retire at 62, we're living till 92, and we saved up $100,000 for that down payment. Now what do you do? So we're going to go to the mortgage calculator first. So the pie chart that we're looking at right now shows the entire cost of your house over your lifetime. So what's included in here is your closing costs, your down payment, the amount of principal you pay, and the amount of interest you're going to pay. So in this example, the total cost of the house is going to be just under $1 million by the time you pay it off. So let's look at some of the inputs. So the closing costs are this sliding bar. They start at 2%, and this is something you can adjust. You can also click the pie chart to look at things a little more visually. So the total cost is still under $1 million. We have our closing costs at that $15,000. We have our down payment of $100,000. We have our principal that we're paying off, the $400,000 that we're borrowing, and the amount of interest you're going to pay over the time horizon. Now let's look at some more of the outputs. So the property value, this is when you're purchasing a new house, you're going to choose the property value. So the down payment is also linked to a savings goal, so make sure you use the right number here, and it's going to automatically calculate your principal. Now the interest rate, this is a sliding bar. Make sure you pick the interest rate that you're going to get from the bank, but the average rate now is about 6.2 for a 30-year mortgage. And if you are ambitious, you can click lower term rates, like a 25 or a 20. And it will do all the calculations for you. Basically, you can see the mortgage payment changing every time you adjust a number. Now, when it comes to the property cost, this is also something you can adjust. Make sure you try to use your real numbers, but it is starting you with a country average of all these numbers. So your property tax, your property insurance, your property maintenance. If it's an older home, you might have to do property renovations, and your eventual selling costs. This is how much money your beneficiaries are going to have to pay to sell your house one day. But this is showing you the real dollars in today in case you have to sell your house at this moment, which would be $35,000 for this house. Before we go any further, I am going to put the amortization back to 30 years. So we have a mortgage payment of around $2,449.88 with this example. Now we're going to look at the rent versus buy scenario. Here's where you put your monthly rent. Is it $2,000? Is it $2,200? Is it $2,500? So to make sure this is an even comparison, we're going to assume that the living spaces are essentially the same and the utilities are also the same. The major difference between renting and buying a house would be your rental insurance is a lot cheaper than your property insurance. And owning a home also involves maintenance and property taxes, and these can add up. Now what this chart is simulating is it's taking the difference of your monthly rent and the mortgage payment and all the other extra costs and investing the difference. And as soon as the house is paid off, that excess that you were investing in the monthly rent scenario stops, and you start investing the difference between rent and the extra costs like the property, maintenance, and taxes. And here's where you really start to play with the numbers. If you're not going to get 11.27% over the next 60 years, we're going to have to adjust this number. So slide it down to a reasonable amount. Like, what are you getting in your account right now? This is the number that you should be using. So you can see here, dropping the returns to 2.5%, owning a house is your better option. You can kind of see the bend in the middle of the chart. This is where the house is getting paid off. It's kind of a slow, gradual growth of your net worth. And this is where your money starts compounding when you're investing the difference between your rent after your mortgage is paid. Now to look at some more of the details here, our current time horizon is we're 29. This is when we're buying the house. We have that $100,000 down payment, and our life expectancy is 92. This is what we're calculating. So the question that we're answering is, should I leave my house to my kids or just invest and rent my entire life? And in this example, you can see you should buy, but if you are investing your money with a little more risk, basically you can see with those extra returns, it is better off renting. When it comes to the details, it's telling you how much your down payment percentage was. So a $100,000 down payment on a $500,000 house is a 20% down payment. And it's going to measure all the bars, how you slide them when it comes up with the values. So in this example, we're looking at closing costs of 3%, property tax of 0.75, property insurance of 0.5, property maintenance of 1%, and property renovations at 0.25. These are all those bars that you can slide yourselves. And when it comes to selling your house, this is where it gets really expensive. It costs about 7% of your money to sell your house. When it comes to the assumptions, this is the life expectancy average tax rate. This will change from state to state, but essentially what it's measuring is, hey, if you're going to leave your investment account on your deathbed and your house on your deathbed, what's the best outcome? This is what a lot of people do. And the last assumption I made, which is the real estate growth, I just chose the inflation. Basically, this seems to be a long average, but I have a feeling people are going to want me to make a slider so they can adjust how much real estate's actually growing. Basically, the only reason why I didn't make it a slider already is you can slide this bar to make buying a house always look good. I really don't want you to slide the bars. They're kind of in the right place already, but again, it is to customize it to your exact situation. So using long-term expected returns at 9.8%, something that's, fairly realistic with an S&P 500 estimate, you can see renting is such a better option. So hopefully this tool will help you decide if buying or renting the home is a good idea for you.